There we go. We've got a panelist. Hello, hello.
Hi.
Thanks for joining. I was just telling everyone to get the snack, to get the beverage. Life happens. I always say, like, you are wherever you need to be. That's probably where you should be. So we're here. Let's get started. For everyone who didn't join this morning, I'm Audrey Gallo, pronouns she, her. I am on the board of Tequeria, so I get to participate on a regular basis in this amazing work. It's really incredible opportunity to be kind of behind the scenes and support all of the beautiful things we're doing. In my day job, the job that pays the bills, I'm the DEI program director for General Assembly, and I wear some other hats outside of that, including a coaching practice for women of color who are moving from middle management into leadership positions in tech. So a little bit about me. And Emma, I want to pass it over to you. Please introduce yourself, and particularly telling us a little bit about your background and experience in educational technology, since that's what we're here to talk about.
Sure, of course. My name is Amber Pascual. I am fairly new to the education, to technology and education. Before this, I was a chemistry teacher. I was a science assistant principal. So I'm really passionate about education. I'm really passionate about youth development. I am with Code Nation now. I joined Code Nation about a year and a half ago. We are a tech education company where we teach kiddos in high school about technology, front-end web development, and we do some really, really great work there. What really drew me to, I guess, to Code Nation, to the mission, to technology, and teaching that to our youth is I fundamentally do not believe at 16 years old you should figure out what you are going to do for the rest of your life. The playing field is completely uneven, and I think it's just so important to equip our youth with like tools to make informed decisions. Whether that is, yes, I want to pursue this thing, or I'm really good at tech, I'm really good at coding. I'm really good at whatever it is that they're passionate about. And I'm going to use this as a tool to equip myself as a side hustle or as a thing that I can do to just change my socioeconomic status, to help my peers, to help my family. I come from a place, I'm from Brooklyn. Like I am from the same hood that we serve. So I'm really passionate about just if we give them the tools or the information, then they can make informed decisions. So that's really what brought me into this realm, into this beautiful network that I'm serving. And I'm really excited to be here. It's only been, again, a year and a half, but I've been in education for about 6, 7 years prior to.
Wow, what a journey. And I love that you have that experience of being hands-on, being the educator, and then now thinking about, okay, what are the systems at play
Mhm.
to help scale, moving youth into these opportunities. I love what you said as well about just that journey of like at 16, 18, 17, I mean, even at 20, 25,
Mhm.
people are still figuring themselves out. And how are you going to make sort of this lifelong decision about what you want to do, right? And I think we're also changing the script a little bit about the whole, like, what do you want to do can look so many different ways, and just helping our youth really understand that. So I appreciate that a lot.
Absolutely. And technology, again, it really equips people to be flexible, to make different decisions. Even if it's like I have this work from home job and I just want to explore the world, we should be able to do that thing. We should really be able to live fulfilling lives. I'm still figuring it out at 30. Like, who knows? Like, you know what I mean? We should be able to have that freedom that um, historically we haven't been given access to have that freedom. So I think it's just a really great tool to equip our youth, to equip our grown folk, to equip our communities, to be able to figure things out for ourselves.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's a great segue. I think you already touched on it, but talk maybe a little bit more through your experience as an educator and now with Code Nation, just around how is educational technology helping our community? What is the transformation you see? What is the impact? Yeah, what have you witnessed, I guess, in your journey?
Sure. Um, so specifically, and I'm going to talk about shameless plug codation quite a bit, but we afford an opportunity where the kids can really go into these tech spaces, work with volunteers, work with current software engineers. So from my experience, what I've seen is just like seeing that people have access, people who have not had access before. A lot of the conversations that we have with students is like, oh, well, I can maybe do that, but I don't know how to get my foot in the door. I don't know if I can survive in these conditions. And that's true throughout everybody's, well, not everybody's, let me not speak for everybody, but throughout careers, right? You can be 30, 40, 50, still wondering, can I make it in this world in which we have been historically excluded from? So when I'm thinking about the communities that we serve and the communities that we target, predominantly Black and Brown folks, who are high on the economic need index, it's really just about giving access again, letting kids see themselves, letting kids see themselves as leaders, as software engineers, as data scientists, whatever it is that makes their heart happy. Or again, just saying, oh, this is not for me, but there's also tech adjacent roles that I can survive in and still have access to the salaries, which I think is really important.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's, I mean, I'll ask this to the full group too, which is when was the first time you thought, like, oh, this is possible, right? Like, oh, there's a job like this, or oh, someone like me can do that thing? Wow. And I think that that's sometimes the greatest barrier, right? It's like we can get the skills, we know we're capable, we know we can do it, but we never knew, right? It was like I didn't even know that was a job. I didn't know get people
Yeah.
get paid to do the thing that I just love to do, right? Or that I'm really, really good at. And so that, that awareness and that access, like you said, is so critical to say, hey, this is possible. Hey, Jesse, can you hear us?
Hello.
And see us? Cool. Okay, I think you're finding where
Hey
we're
there.
at. Awesome, awesome, awesome. You joined at the perfect moment. We'd love to. You're currently on mute, just to let you know. But we'd love to just have you introduce yourself. Okay, we'll get to Jesse in a second.
I can, while Jesse comes on back, there was something that you said that resonated with me. Oh, I didn't know this was a job. There's so many times that where I'm talking to members of my community and they don't even know that there's a tech aspect of whatever company, like I'm really into baseball and it's like MLB has this entire force and you can really tap into that, or um, just things that make that really resonates with our youth, really resonates with our kids, just them finding out, oh, I can do this role in that area. That is amazing. That is super cool.
Yes, 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 yes. I mean, we say this all the time at Thicketia, but every company is a tech company.
Yep.
Or is trying to be. So absolutely, opportunity is in every industry. Jesse, you're back. We're excited you're here.
There.
We want
Hi
to
there.
we want to give you an opportunity to introduce yourself and just tell us, kind of what your role is and your experience that you have with educational technology.
Yeah, super glad I was able to join. Had joining issues, but yeah, nonetheless, here we are. Happy to talk with everyone and answer any questions. Yeah, my name is Jesse. I'm currently I'm calling from Mountain View, California. Here, I've been the executive director of a nonprofit called Close the Gap Foundation. This is we run a summer program that recently ended about 2 weeks ago, where we have 30 fellows who get paired with mentors. So yeah, a lot of the EdTech part of it is the pairing, like the algorithm and some automations to facilitate scheduling, which I'm happy to talk about. But the end of it is that the fellow and mentor do a 3-month-long social impact project where they go make a impact in their community. And these are first-gen low-income students. So like myself and the other co-founders of the org, want to give back through project-based learning. So rather than just traditional education and curriculum where you're learning things and getting tested, this is still a structured curriculum, but through a project, which happens to be for the social impact of their community. So yeah, they get to work on things. And my day-to-day is making sure the operations are good, but also being super close to like the analytics and like making like we have dashboards and all these other data infrastructure to make sure that we're actually providing a super personalized experience. So happy to go into a lot of that, and have been working on that for about 6 years. And previously was just working in tech companies for the most part, which I'm still doing. But yeah, that's the main educational technology part.
That's awesome. Very, very cool. So Close the Gap Foundation. Really quickly, for both of you, can you touch on a little bit about how to get involved? And if you want to just like put that in the chat or talk through a little bit, but we have many people here who might be excited to be on the other side to offer mentorship, offer support to your organization. So maybe Amber, you can start with a little bit of how to support Code Nation. What does that look like if we want to?
Yes, we could always, always, always use more volunteers, especially diverse volunteers, so the kiddos can see themselves in the field yet again. But you can either just go to our website, you can reach out to me and we can connect. What volunteer looks like at Code Nation is we have volunteers teaching curriculum to the kids, so they're getting it directly. We also have different opportunities where you get to work with some of our alumni, just like talking about interviews, going through mock interviews, getting them prepped for the industry. And then we also put on a really big hackathon every year that some volunteers, maybe they can only volunteer for one day. It's awesome. The kids have such a great time. It's an entire day event, but it's also a social impact project where they build a website about things that can really help their community and things that they care about.
Love that. Thank you. And Jesse, for your organization, how can we get involved?
Oh, totally. Yeah. So there's a lot. I pasted a link. I hope this is a chat that people can see,
Yes,
but I pasted it into a chat that I saw. Yeah, Close the Gap Foundation. We do recruit mentors. Actually, how I found out about Tech Area is we were looking for mentors, and like Amber mentioned, it's great to have people see themselves in their mentors, right? So it's not like someone other. Even though allies are welcome, it's always great when people have that shared lived experience. So yeah, I was searching for Latinx identifying mentors, and I found Techeria, and then now it's been associated in this way. So actually, a lot of our mentors are from Techeria, so this basically can become a mentor. There's also speaking opportunities, and we do have a one-time, similar. Maybe I'll ask you more questions, Amber, later. But yeah, we do have a one-time pitch day, which is when they finish their social impact project. So there's also volunteer opportunities there if people want to help select who gets scholarships, and we do reward some of the really impactful projects with college scholarships. So there's a link there. I'm super happy to talk through it. Awesome. We love Techeria mentors. Yeah.
Great. Good to know the community's already involved. I love that. I want to shift gears a little bit just to kind of more of each of your insights into what's sort of working well. Like, what do you see are great strides that you're making or progress that educational technology is having to make sure that our community is getting, more roles, more jobs, more recognition within the tech space?
I can jump in. Okay. One thing that I think recently has been working really well that I'd love to see are organizations like working with each other versus like seeing it as a competition and just like doing whatever they can to provide the service to our communities. So thinking about, oh, well, we have a great set of kids that will work really great with you guys. Let's funnel students in. Or thinking about when our students leave Code Nation, really funneling them into Techeria to get that additional development, to get that additional help and support. So I think that's one thing, just like that community building and everybody coming together to build this kind of fluid pipeline throughout the ecosystem has been working really well. Still needs work, but has been really beautiful to see.
That's great. I love that. Thank you.
Yeah, that's great. So I think our community is super supportive. One thing that we've been, at least our organization has been super self-critical towards ourselves is a lot of programs, or our programs, do have they're very time-based where it's like, okay, 3 months, we support you and people have a great experience. And then the post-program experience, I think, is something that we're focusing on. So yeah, rather than just focus on having like such a good 3 months and then saying like, okay, reach out if you need anything. I do think that's the part where we have to put more intention to supporting people to get a job. For example, we work with high school students, so sometimes it's super college oriented, but we're now at the time when some of our fellows, because we've been like a 6-ish years old organization, yeah, they're graduating college and getting jobs. Yeah, I think that's the barrier, right? It's not just getting to college. Yeah, all these things, like things that I've gone through and that a lot of us here have gone through, like imposter syndrome, mental health resources as an adult, all these things. Yeah, creating spaces where people can reach out and not just saying, reach out if you want. Because some people will, but I feel like some people who need the most guidance or who are like right in between, like myself, I sometimes don't reach out for help, right? So yeah, making it more structured post-program. So a lot of, that's something we're trying to improve. And Techeria is also a great space. So yeah, probably channeling folks to and then from Techeria. That's great.
I love that. Love the shout outs. I think just the theme of about what you said around just the collaboration, right? So like we're all trying to achieve
that's great.
Sort of the same goal. We just have different slices maybe of the journey. And so making sure like there's a through line and there's connectivity so that kind of the point you made, Jesse, where it's like you don't just do a program and then you're off in the world by yourself again, feeling lonely or isolated or like I don't know who to turn to now for help, but that you have sort of this like continuous thread of support and you sort of know where to look for it, I think is such a great point about how we can all continue to work together more closely. So really excited about that. And then I guess in terms of, I know for our audience here, it's primarily folks who are, I guess we wouldn't call ourselves youthful as much anymore. But I would love to hear kind of your perspective on maybe some insights to those who are even just like trying to break into tech wherever they, kind of wherever they are in their journey. But just kind of in terms of what you all see and hear in the educational technology space, what advice do you have, especially in a really tough job market where it feels harder than ever to break into tech, so to speak? Amber, if you want to start with that one.
My advice would be don't be afraid to ask for a favor. I think a lot of people have like a fear of like asking too much or asking for a connection. I find that making referenceable relationships is really what makes truly the difference. Yes. Thank you, Jolis. But it's like, hey, I see you're connected to this place and I want to get there. And we're really trying to instill building like a map or pathways to our students and get to that by any means necessary, right? So like, I know I want to end up at Tequeria, so I know that I have a connection here and this person can work here. And I think just really utilize your community. 9 out of 10 times people will be like, sure, it's not a problem. But I think there's an inherent fear of making that ask to get connected or to get their foot in the door.
I love that. Thank you. Yes. And Jesse, what's your advice?
Yeah, to break into tech. Yeah, first I'll say it is okay to break into tech at any age. I know it's easy to see people who, yeah, they went to this specific program their whole life and been coding since they're like 1 year old and all these things. At least for me, when I was breaking in, which I felt was late, but it was sophomore in college where a lot of peers were coding since they're actually young. Yeah, I think the same thing applies when you're later in your career, in your 30s, 40s, or whatever age you might be. There is always a pathway. It's just, I think, not being afraid to go a non-traditional route. Yeah, I think personally I would recommend a lot of that. Maybe I'm just very into project-based learning, but I think a lot of things that separate people, like really good candidates in job applications, at least from what I've seen, is the drive to do something on the side. And it's hard, right? I guess there's a lot of commitments that people have, but doing projects, right? So like if you have a silly idea for some app that's just like, I don't know, some social app that's like, I want my friends to be able to send like funny messages to each other that have like a sticker, any idea, and just like going and making it. that gets a lot of really good, you get a lot of good experience from doing that, and there's a lot of tutorials. So I would say following a tutorial and kind of tweaking it and making your own is a good way to build the practical experience, and then you can add these things to your resume. At least that's what I did to try to do things. And yeah, some friends who've done boot camps, who you get first, there's a skill gap, right, which you can then fill, and that there's a barrier to go get into some of these programs, but there's skills, and then there's also, okay, they're a really good engineer, but they don't have the job history to actually get an interview. Then you can fill that with personal projects, or like maybe like Amber was mentioning, if it's very intimidating from scratch, you can reach out to a friend who made an app before and said, hey, I have this silly idea, can you help me, right? And people are so happy to help. So it doesn't have to be just like, okay, you yourself sitting down on a screen, but that is also possible, right? Depending on what people's motivations and free time, other life commitments are.
Yeah, absolutely. Both great insights. I think about the favor part, I know so many people are very hesitant to ask for help, ask for support. I would say, not to plug Thicketia again, but I think within the community, like 9 out of 10 times that I've reached out to people, and for all different reasons, right? Job referrals, or when I was I was like, what is this tech business? How can I break in from what I was doing? I was like, what's my transition point? People would answer that, direct message and just say, yeah, let's chat. Yeah, let's, I'll give you some ideas. Let's see what we can come up with. So just not being afraid to just write that message. Absolutely. And Jesse, underscoring your point about project-based learning and just trying to get as much kind of experience under your belt as possible, especially if you're on the job search, doing your own project, showing kind of that hunger and ambition and drive to say, like, I may not have a job, but like, I'm going to do everything I can to build the skills. I'm going to try and do everything I can to learn, make the most of, the time that I have. So really appreciate that perspective. We're getting to the final minute, so if y'all have questions for Jesse or Amber, please add them either in the chat, I'll find them, or in the Q&A section. Please do so. And I guess just on that kind of last note, just wanting to know, like, what else is left? Like, what's the next frontier for educational technology? Like, what do you all think needs to be done next? Where are we headed?
Oh, I was trying to unmute myself, but I turned my video off. Yeah, yeah, I'm happy to jump in. Yeah, I think yeah, I'm very excited about this topic. But yeah, I do think that yeah, one reason why I really love working on the nonprofit that I'm on is being able to put the latest tools for the social impact cause, where you see a lot of big companies, yeah, like the Google, the Meta, and all these other places, like just like jumping at things like generative AI, right? So, and then a lot of times nonprofits kind of, and other organizations are like slower to adopt these things. But yeah, I do think that putting AI in the curriculum, we're doing that as well with Close the Gap, where it's not to replace people, but to augment, to create a really hyper-personalized learning experience that sometimes more privileged students do get, but with that costs like a lot of money to do. And with our limited resources, yeah, I would say AI, there's so many, maybe that's a whole session in itself, but there's so much that, yeah, leaning into these latest technologies to actually use for a social impact, as opposed to whatever big companies are doing, which is like to sell ads or whatever they're doing. But yeah, for doing something that we really care about, yeah, I would say AI is where the future of learning is doing. I saw a lot of really good demos from Khan Academy, which I really enjoy them. They're a great nonprofit. And yeah, they do just like question. It's not just, oh, do my homework for me, right? Because that's one thing people think about when it's like, oh, ChatGPT wrote my essay. But it's less like that. It's more like a question and answer, like a personal tutor. But there's so much more than just the personal tutor. I think that's one that is just the thing that people think about. But yeah, there's personal curriculum, right? Instead of your lesson plan, instead of one lesson plan for everyone, can it be the general theme of the lesson plan for everyone, but then written in a way that student specifically, that student's learning style, right? Like visual, audio. It's like more adapted to their learning styles, right? So those are just two of them, but I could go on and on. I'll pass it to Amber. Any things that you see?
Thanks, Jesse.
And just so I make sure I get it right, it's essentially like what's next, what's left to do.
Yeah, like what can we do better? What can we do more of? Like what's the next frontier?
Yeah. I think this question, there's so many ways to answer this question. There's so many levels. One thing that I'm really noticing is that I'm seeing company partners pull away from their DEI commitments that they were shouting in 2020. And I think that if you are in the industry, you're in a unique position to kind of bring some people with you. But I also think that can be really taxing. And while we're asked to do a billion things as you know, the Black and brown folks in the room, we're asked to do a billion things already. I think it's really important that we build that really tight-knit community and kind of don't let go of that to hold everybody accountable to the DI commitments that they made, right? So it's like, yes, I have this really great person, or I want to host this really great panel. I think that we should see that. What were the commitments that we made? How are we still representing that? So I think that's what's missing, what's next. In addition to that, I think specifically in educational technology, we need to start or continue to put people on pathways and let them do the research of like, how do I get from X to Z? I can say I really want to work at Google, sure, but what is it that I need and how can I stand out in order to get there, and not just say that I want to work there and I got the Google cert and that's it. I think there's a huge gap in between, and we really have to be the bridge between like exposure to placement. And we can only do that when we're honestly working together and holding each other accountable to do so.
Oh, I love that. I love what you both highlighted, which is there are so many ways to answer this. I think this is just the tip of the iceberg. But I think there are many people here who want to continue the conversation, and please do. There's also other sessions during the summit related to some of these topics. We're going to be talking about DEI and tokenism in DEI. And also there's going to be some consejos around job search and other things that you can do, and other technologies that are popping up that could be opportunities for us to jump on and to be at the forefront, right? We don't have to wait. We can be at the forefront of these things. So I want to thank you both for being here with us, making the time, representing your organizations. Again, Amber's here from Code Nation, and Jesse is here from Close the Gap Foundation. It's been an honor to talk to you both. I'm excited we had a little chat. Please feel free, audience, to say thank yous, show your appreciation, your takeaways in the comments. And we're going to close it up here. There's some more sessions to go. We'll see you all there. But thank you so much for all of your wisdom and insights.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.